The project's given me confidence to talk about social media at work, and I've been able to copy what Bex did with us in how I talk about it, so what's the purpose, etc. So that's been useful at work. Not quite on LinkedIn yet, but will be by the end of the month, and I've done a blog, so that's as far as I've got.
So what I have got from the project is a fascinating insight into a number of new tools and techniques with which I'd normally just not interact. What the project has done is held them up in front of me and made me interact with them. Whilst at times I've felt bombarded with the technology, it's been really fascinating and it's forced me to play with them. What it's also forced me to do, more importantly, is to think about how we can play with them and how we can use them more professionally and more widely across the whole of the institution.
The Digital Literacies Project, what did I get out of it? Well, I suppose I've always been interested in the concept of communication and how important it is to anyone who's an organizational development practitioner. And to me, it's not about the tools so much as what you can do with the tools. So whether it's looking at blogs as a new way to communicate more informally, thinking about Twitter as a way to interact and keep up with news and events, as well as spread good practices more widely within your networks and really build on your networks, or using LinkedIn as kind of a professional way of managing as little as a contact address book or as much as some really interesting group discussions. I think those things are really what's appealed to me about the project. I'm not particularly technological, but what I do is take a very practical approach just to see where can I get some benefit from it and where can I hopefully benefit others.
Probably the main thing that it's helped me to do this project is to think hard about why I choose the tools I do choose in the sphere of electronic communication and think more carefully about the choices that are out there. I've not become expert at anything and I've not become likely to use things like Twitter. But this morning we've really pushed the thinking on to the, right, what does this mean organisationally? How can we engage our organisations with the digital literacy idea? And there's work going on that on the student-facing side, lots of it, but I think there's a large number of staff who are left behind. So now I've got a better language for that. I know what a lot of it's about, and I've moved my own skills on a bit, so I can help the organisation get to grips with that a lot better than I did before. And we really need to. There's a gap developing, which I think we need to fill. And so we've had some really good chats, sometimes controversial, because people have very strong feelings about this stuff. But it's been really valuable in moving the thinking on that I can now take back to the organisation. But I still don't tweet. I do blog sometimes.
Okay, I've found the project really interesting as well as challenging personally at times. What I think it has done is open my eyes to the range of digital literacies that's possible, and I've learnt personally that actually I'm not a natural digital native, as you might say. However, moving on and exploring this, I think we've started to think about our communication strategies within the staff development and OD back at work, and how we can better talk to people through a digital medium, if you will. I think it's fair to say currently that's more geared towards through virtual learning environments and trying to have conversations with people through a kind of blog scenario, which is quite slow for people to take off, I think, which is interesting because that's what I found worked in this project as well. As OD people, we're naturally, I think about the face-to-face stuff and not about things that can be done online or through different medium. I was quite pleased with myself because I did actually sign up to the WordPress. I did sign up to the group, and I think I posted once, but I'm going to make a commitment to go back and try and keep this up. I think it's access for me, and I think that's the same thing for other people. It's not a natural default position. at the moment where Al opens up a blog, whereas I will open up my email. So I'm going to try and do something about that and realise that isn't just me. Actually, a lot of people have the same sort of. I guess it's about being it becoming a natural process and part of the day-to-day communication. So it's opened my eyes to a lot, I think. It's definitely been beneficial. Without it, we would have known nothing about it, I think, and we would probably kept our like mushrooms. I think we'd have stayed as mushrooms had we not done it. So on balance, it's been a good thing, and I think we've a hell of a long way to go.
Okay. And thanks for asking me the question, because I think there are three key things that I've taken away from this and that actually I'm going to do differently. So already I have chosen a business tool. I actually spec'd it with our IT people. It's my iPad. I'm using it on a regular basis. It's part of my paperless drive. So I'm adding into the HR Green Impact stats by not dragging paper around with me. So actually my practice has changed as a result of engaging with this agenda. And that was a personal objective that I had. But more importantly, I've actually now transferred all of that to how we think about getting tools for the senior management team in my department. And we have been working more closely with the IT people to understand their agendas and their frustrations. And I don't get nearly so wound up as I used to about the language. And I've really been trying to think about, how we describe what we need and then how they map that onto the various benefits the different tools can bring. I think there's another thing that really has highlighted this for me, and that is this real kind of concern, anxiety, but excitement around the social media agenda. And I really need to be more up on that. I lead in my institution learning and development for 2,000 people. And all of these agendas are about how our students are engaging with the way they want to learn, with the way they want to socialise, with the way they actually want to communicate with other people. Only some of our staff want to do that. And if I'm actually going to be part of a strategic planning framework of how we use these things in a beneficial way so they're fit for purpose, I need to be more confident about the language, and I think this has started me down that path. And one final thing, I think actually it takes a lot of guts to actually keep plugging away at this agenda, because what I have recognised is that I do have a sort of Pavlovian reaction to some of these things. So people say a particular type of language and I'll automatically start closing down. And I think really working to stop that close down, I think that's another thing that I've started working on. So I've really actually got a huge amount personally for my university and actually in terms of the way that I do my practice.